Two reasons why you need to hear from God before settling down or marrying whoever you are planning to marry. Now, when I say hear from God, I'm not talking about hearing a thunderous voice from the clouds saying, my son, or my daughter, this is your husband or this is your wife. Or having an angel come to visit you whilst in your room and showing you who your wife and husband is. For most of us, we are not going to have that experience. So when I say hearing from God, I'm talking about having that conviction in your spirit, having that peace in your spirit that the person that you are settling with is somebody that God is pleased with or God approves. Personally, I don't think that God has a specific person for you that you should marry, that if you miss that person, you're doomed, because that is not consistent with scripture. There may be people who may think like that, but I don't think like that. I think there is a category of people that can help you based on what God is calling you to do. There is a type of person that will complement you to achieve God's purpose on the earth. So basically, that's what I think. Now, the first reason why you need to hear from God is that it is only wise that you go to the man, that you go to the one who knows the future before you make a lifelong commitment. Now, human beings are limited. No matter how powerful we are limited in that we don't know what will happen even in the next 10 minutes. But God knows the future. And so it is only wise that before you make any long-term commitment to anybody, you need to go to God and make sure that God approves of the person that you're trying to settle down with. Now, because people change with time and circumstances change people. You know how some rocks and some precious stones undergo a lot of transformation when there's so much heat. That is the same way people change. There are people that you see them today, they are always happy, they are smiling, they are amiable, they are kind. But after 2 years, you see them and they are so depressed, they are gloomy, they are so negative, their perspective about the world has shifted that now they don't believe anyone anymore. There are people that were always kind and nice until they were betrayed by people, and so circumstances change people. And there are some people that when they go through a difficult situation, they may never recover from that situation. And so you can see somebody who is nice and happy today, in the next 2 years they are not like that. So it is only wise to go to God and ask God that this person that I intend to marry, do you confirm? Do you approve of him or her? Are you okay with him or her? And then when God has given you his signal in your spirit, then you can take the decision. I think it's only wise to seek God's wisdom, to seek God's approval, because he knows the future. The second reason why you need to hear from God is that if you don't hear from God and you marry somebody, and in the course of the marriage, trials and tribulation come, you are going to start thinking that you made a mistake. And because you start thinking that you made a mistake, you're not going to commit yourself 100% to resolving the issue and fighting for your partner and fighting for the marriage. When you start thinking, for example, 2 years into your marriage, your husband or your wife starts acting funny, you're going to start thinking, oh my goodness, I made a mistake. I should have married the other person, not this one. And because you feel like you made a mistake, there will be no commitment from your part to save the marriage or to help save or salvage the marriage from the problems and the troubles that you guys are going through. You're going to be stuck up with the thought that I should have married somebody else and not him or not her. And then your marriage is going to suffer. And so it is always important to hear from God, to be convinced in your spirit before you make that eternal commitment. Because when you are convinced that this is the person that God wanted you to marry, or you are convinced that God was pleased with the person that you're marrying, that when you face trials and tribulation, the option of divorce is not an option. It doesn't even come in the picture. Your main objective in trial and tribulation is to fight together and see yourself through that problem, because you know that this person that you are with is somebody from God. But when you are not convinced, you probably think you made a mistake and you start looking for other alternatives somewhere and say, maybe I should have chosen somebody else, and even perhaps now I can still choose somebody else. But if you heard from God and you're convinced leaving a person is not an option, you will always find a way of helping each other to save the marriage from breaking. And that is the two major reasons why you need to hear from God. Now you need to understand that even if God comes from heaven and tell you that this is your wife, you're still going to have troubles. God gave Eve to Adam, but Eve was the reason why Adam fell. So the fact that God chooses a partner for you does not mean you're exempted from trouble. But the fact that God chose somebody for you and God convicted you about the person you're marrying, you know that even when there's trouble, you can always go back to God and seek help from Him. So please, if you're not married and you're about to make that decision, make sure you hear from God and you're convinced in your spirit. If you're already married and you feel like you made a mistake, well, you can't go back and change. This is not an exam where you can erase the objective answer and choose a different one. But one thing I can tell you is this: you may not have started with God, but if you invite God into the marriage and make Him the foundational anchor, then God can correct the mistakes. It is only God that can bring dead thing back to life. And when you invite God into the marriage, that marriage that seemed dead will be brought back to life. Thank you very much for watching the video. Don't forget to like, share, and comment.